Holding an F1 race in NASCAR's backyard might not seem like something you'd expect to see, but the beauty of sim racing shines through, giving us the ability to do just that. Strap on your helmets because it's time to go oval racing as we get ready to watch round 6 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series. You'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, being assisted by Christian Duploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Charlotte Motor Speedway is a staple in stock car racing, but let's get a closer look at it with our track guide.
Welcome everybody to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Even though it was built more than 4 decades ago, drivers still love to race at this 1.5 mile quad-shaped oval. Located just a short 13-mile drive from downtown, Charlotte also shares a similar track shape to what you would see at the Texas Motor Speedway and the Atlanta Motor Speedway as well. Despite turns 1 and 2 having the same banking as turns 3 and 4, the two ends of the speedway could not drive any different. Turn 1 and 2 are much more of a sweeping corner, really carrying the speed down into the corner and trying to get that hole shot out of turn 2 down the backstretch. Turns 3 and 4 drive much tighter than 1 and 2, really having to get the car to rotate in the middle of 3 and 4 to make your entry and your exit point. Getting a lap in around here in one piece usually requires some calm nerves and a patient foot. Charlotte was one of the first speedways to install lights around the facility, giving night racing a whole new berth. Charlotte is also known for its place in the perfect day of racing every Memorial Day, acting as the caboose after the Monaco Grand Prix and the Indianapolis 500. If Daytona is the pinnacle of NASCAR racing, then Charlotte has to be just a bumper behind. Fans flock to the largest sports facility in the Southeast and NASCAR's home track. This has been our guide to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Well, Joey, this is going to be something a bit different for those who are used to the regular races we see here in Lotus 49.
There's always that one outlier on the schedule, and the oval race this season is Charlotte Motor Speedway, the 1.5-mile quad oval right here in Concord, North Carolina. Banking is 24 degrees in the corners and about 5 degrees or so on the straightaways. And with these Lotus 49 cars, they can still go 2, 3, potentially even 4 wide around this place. But remember, it's not a super speedway like Michigan or Daytona or Talladega. So the drivers are going to have to drive these things through the corners and then watch out for that quad oval front straightaway. It can easily catch you out just kind of being unsighted with those lane changes.
Absolutely. So drivers will have to keep their wits about them on this one. Now, as for the championship, this is where things get a little bit interesting because now we're partway through the season. We'll see some drop weeks start to get included, but without them, it means that Jorge Nieva is currently only 27 points behind Adrius Valenteus, but it's been 3 wins out of the first 5 rounds for Adrius, hence why he is still leading this despite a 0 score for Fuji. Then you get back to Nicola Kaki also chasing. Jorge and Nicola have both been very consistent up at the top of the field. Bill Tyler not too far behind. He's in a close fight with Gary Ho there for 4th with only 4 points separating them. And then look at the battle for 8th as well, as there's only 5 points between Keene, Plumley, and Porter. But that's just the F1 standings. Joey, why don't you talk us through the F2?
Yeah, it's going to be the same car, just different iRating out there. And Roberto Pengrazi has a nice lead, 28 points over Ben Summers, but then second through about 6th place, separated by less than 15 points. That includes Ben Summers, Thomas Tuba, Thomas Willershausen, Tobias Harnvey, and Mats Linden. Another little bit of a gap before things get really tight again. You see only about 6 points separating this next group of drivers. Eric Essery, Jonathan Jordan, Don Peak, always good to see him here inside the top 10, and Mitch Heller.
They also hold a Nations Cup here in this series. And right now, Spain up at the top. It's been a close fight between Spain and Lithuania, as it has been for the past couple seasons, honestly. Kaki, hailing from Italy, finds him tied, actually, with Singapore, as then the United States, just not too far back by about 11 points, rounding out your top five. From there, it starts to drop off between each of the countries, all the way back down to Sweden in 10th. But it does seem like Spain, Lithuania, and Italy are going to be our main players this time around. Since this is going to be slightly different, Joe, you want to talk us through the race details?
Yeah, we're on hump day over here, round 6 of 12, halfway through the season. 66 laps is what we're going to be doing around Charlotte Motor Speedway. Open setups as always. Go join that vintage community. It doesn't matter if it's the 49s, the 79s, or that IMSA Vintage Series. Everybody likes to get all of the competitors up to speed. No spare cars, so unfortunately, if you crash here on the oval, you're probably going to be done for the day. Drive through at 17 incident points, disqualification at 25 incident points. Like I just said, if you're going to crash here, I don't think that the incident limits or incident point limits are going to be kind of what brings you off of the track. It's just going to be the damage, as we see qualifying right now going on. And Joe, Andreas Valenteus at the top, but the one that is a shocker for me, it shouldn't be a shocker, but it's a shocker because he doesn't usually qualify. Jason Clapper sitting second.
On the front row, Jason Clapper, could he steal his first ever win in this series? Shunsuke Tashima also there on row 2 on the inside right now. Just a few drivers that are still out there trying to set a time. Just like normal, they only get these 2 laps, except they're going to go much, much quicker in this case.
Yeah, it will get done pretty quickly here. So you see only about 30 seconds remaining here for Jorge Nieva to complete this lap, which will be no big deal for him. Let's see what he's able to put down this time, a 29.75. So it will jump him up inside the top 5, actually up to 4.
Tend to see Nieva do decently well here on the ovals. And if you see the numbers on the car, since those who are familiar with iRacing know that typically that's by iRating. Keep in mind, this is by their oval iRating, which, by the way, Valenteus still has a 5,300 iRating on the paved oval side. So just goes to show, usually if you're fast in one discipline, you're going to be fast in others.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough to beat Andreas no matter what racetrack he's going to be in. If he shows up in a 49, you better be on your game.
All right, so they are starting to line up, which means it's time to go through today's starting grid with qualifying wrapped up. And as we mentioned, Valenteus manages to put it on the pole here. Only driver to get into the 29.6s in this qualifying session. Jason Clapper going to be to his outside, as Shunsuke Tashima, as I mentioned, starting in 3rd. Jorge Nieva starting P4. Kyle Ridley is going to be starting in 5th today with Bill Tyler. He's known for usually being quick on these oval races. He'll start from 6th position. Ben Summers, 7th. Mick Claridge, after he finally got himself a good finish last round, is going to try to carry that momentum starting from 8th. Eric Essery will be P9. And JDS, Jack David Spickett, will start from 10th.
Then across the page in 11th is Leo Squero in that number 30 car. Kevin Verbruggen going to be rolling off from 12th place. Aku Liski back here in 13th with Tobias Harvey lined up next to him in 14th. John Olsen in the number 20 lines up in 15th spot with Thomas Moore next to him in 16th. Yoshiharu Hashimoto in 17th. Xavier Sanchez lined up in 18th. And then Tobias Roner and Don Peak sharing row number 10.
From there, Matthew Keane, who we mentioned a little bit earlier in the championship, starts from 21st. Gary Ho will be 22nd. Then it's Juan Rodriguez, P23. Seb Tixier all the way down in 24th today. He's going to have a rough time. Josephine Becker will start 25th, and Robert Plumley in the 26th spot. Jonathan Jourdain will be P27 today. He'll be flanked by Will Lamb in 28th. Santiago Frega will be 29th. Top 30 going to be rounded out by Thomas Tuba.
Then Rolly Wallbank back here in 31st spot with Glenn Becker in 32nd. Cam Porter rolling off in 33rd with Michael Chomiak in 34th. Michael Grissinger, 35th back here with Pedro Timiladri in 36th. Evan Nybert in 37th, Casey Berry 38th, Jamie Iscaro in 39th, and then Christopher Atkins in 40th.
Just a couple more. Diego Mahler is going to be starting 41st. Thomas Villershausen will be in 42nd. Mats Linden 43rd, and Nathan Allen 44th. So just about a NASCAR field full of cars here in our race as our drivers get ready to warm those tires and get going here today. Joey, what's going to be the keys, you think, to coming away with victory with this being such a different track?
Oh, you got to be good on the ovals, and you got to be comfortable making the moves in two wide situations. Now, we were just fortunate enough to cover a truck series race here not too long ago, and I think the biggest takeaway that I saw was two different lines through two different ends of the racetrack. Now, obviously, these Formula cars are going to drive very differently than what we saw out of the NASCAR trucks, but you got to be able to adapt to the racetrack. If it's going to be the low lane, you got to be able to drive there. If it's going to be the middle, you got to be able to go there. If it's going to be up top, you got to be comfortable.
And did you set up the car to be able to go on various lanes as the pace car is already in and Valenteus is off? Green flag is out, and he scoots away from the field very quickly, trying to break that slipstream. That could be important as it's going to be very powerful here today, pulling along the cars. But as we plunge through 1 and 2, already I'm seeing them getting spread out.
Yeah, and if anything, I saw that off of the initial green flag, it was that outside lane, our front row sitter, Jason Clapper, that had tons of wheel spin getting it up through the gears. But, Joe, to your point, you see our leader already coming through the exit of 4, the back of the field still in the corners.
And this is not completely flat out the way around. Drivers do have to lift to try to get through the corners as they get up to about 180 miles an hour before it slows down to somewhere around 160 through these turns. Valenteus has been caught by Tashima, so the lead is still on. He's not been able to run away and break that slipstream.
And the slipstream is going to be quite powerful here, but remember, we don't have those big rear wings. We don't have front wings on these cars, so we don't really have those huge aero effects of kicking up that dirty air. It really is just that slipstream. As you see now, this pack is kind of caught back up to our two front leaders as we get a replay of the start.
Something maybe happened to Thomas Moore here. Remember, there are no cautions. A single car incident at the start. That is extremely rare. Nobody else gets caught up in it, and thankfully he's able to carry on.
It just kind of echoes what I was saying about Jason Clapper having a ton of wheel spin, just trying to get the thing rolling. A lot of these drivers, remember, you got to get up through the gears in order to get to speeds through here. I'm noticing minimum rolling speed through 1 and 2, Joe, 160 miles an hour.
I am also noticing that we've got a number of black and orange flags, so it looks like there was an incident at the back that we have missed somewhere along the way. We've already got what are likely either DNFs or drivers that are going to just kind of come back out, cruise around, and collect some points and safety rating to wrap this one up. Around the outside, meanwhile, for the lead, Tashima taking a look on Valenteus, hasn't been able to overtake him yet. Nieva also sitting in behind. I do like what I'm seeing, Joey. It seems like everybody's maybe playing patient at the start to let the race come to them.
Yes, but the thing is, they're going to be catching lap traffic probably sooner than later from what we guessed in this one, right? Just kind of with how spread out everything is. So it might be patient right now, Joe, but what happens when we finally run up on some more cars?
That's a good point. Yeah, it could offer opportunities. Someone maybe trying to make a pick so that they don't have to try and make that slingshot. But before we even get there, Sumshuke is going to go around the outside and see if he can make this one stick. Shorter distance on the bottom, but he should have the momentum in his favor off turn 4. If he could just carry the speed, he gets awful close to the outside wall, though.
Yeah, he keeps looking to the outside there, and Valenteus is willing to give Tashima that outside lane on the straightaways, and then you see our leader go all the way down to the bottom side of the racetrack. And if anything, I actually think that Valenteus has probably got another half a car width down to the inside, but now Tashima finally makes the move. He's got the inside down in 3 and 4. Valenteus is going to hang tough right in the middle of the racetrack. Let's see if he can capitalize on corner exit. No, Shinsuke stays tough down on the bottom here.
He's got to watch out because Nieva's close behind as we're riding on board with him, watching these two duel for the lead in these early stages of the race. 66 laps they're going to be doing around here, so there's still plenty to go. And we can't stress enough, no caution. So this is a sprint flat out from start to finish with no planned pit stops either.
Gonna have to be up on the wheel the entire time. Here goes Nieva down to the inside. You saw the driver right in front of Tashima just get out a little bit wide there in turns 3 and 4, and then Jorge deciding to opt back into that slipstream line. And Joe, lap number 9, here's that lap traffic already.
My goodness, this is going to get frantic soon. Rolly Wallbank staying off to the bottom, just making sure as many cars can get through as possible. They do have a break before they get to the next group as we check a little farther back on Mick Claridge, who's managed to work his way up into 6th position. So he's made a couple passes, but maybe just kind of biding his time a bit.
And he's still in this front group. I think that's, if you're in that position, it's all you can really ask for right now. You know, we're a 1/6 of the way through this thing, just under that. So as long as you're in the front group, you haven't lost touch with that draft pack, that's what you need. You need to put yourself in a position to potentially win the race. And right now it is being in the front pack.
Certainly, and a number of these drivers just kind of waiting and letting the race come to them. As we mentioned, I think that group ends with Verbruggen right about 9th before we get a gap down to Sequeiro, a little bit behind by about 1.5 seconds. So maybe a 9-car breakaway here. You could still maybe feel the effects from that far back, believe it or not, as we get another look down the inside by the Japanese driver. But Valenteus seems to be able to hold that middle lane pretty well, Joey.
Yeah, he does. And then I'm just kind of watching him go down the front straightaway here from my point of view up above, so I can kind of see kind of the runs they get. And then he dives down from the middle of the racetrack down low there in turns number 1 and 2. So Valenteus hasn't decided to go past the middle of the racetrack yet. He's been down low, and then in terms of as tall as he gets, it's right there halfway through. You see the seam in the middle of the racetrack. He really doesn't get higher than where that seam is. So it kind of tells me you want to be on the lower half of the racetrack today.
Certainly where it seems to be quick so far. These cars are going to be laying some rubber, so that may affect the line slightly. Not expecting this short of the race to see it change too much, but you never know as time goes by. Look at them spread out down the backstretch, though. Some of them maybe just trying to see what kind of run they can get at this stage.
Yeah, and going back to what I was saying, you don't want to be very high up on the banking on this racetrack. I do feel like if you can kind of get the momentum run down the straightaway, doesn't matter if it's the front straightaway or the back straightaway, if you can get to that inside line, now I'm not saying that your friendly competitors are going to think too highly of you, but you can kind of slide up, you know, pull that slider and kind of move that outside car up out of that middle groove. That might be your best bet in terms of shuffling somebody to the back of the draft pack.
So far, they're all still well within range of the lead in this group. If it gives you any idea, from that 1st to 9th position, you have barely over a second separating all of these cars. Back on board with Nieva once again, seeing Tashima try the high side all the way up. He's a driver that's not afraid to get close to that safer barrier and see if he can get the shot off the corner. He's not going to have the inside, though, coming down into turn 3. Let's see what he does on the high lane here through 3 and 4.
He was able to hold pretty steady through 1 and 2, but through 3 and 4 is able to get the momentum off of the corner. Didn't really have the track position in terms of up alongside, but able to carry nice momentum. And once again, he opts for way up top, about half a car width between himself and that outside wall. And Valenteus is simply letting him drive up there. I think that just this Charlotte Motor Speedway being a 1.5 mile quad oval, I don't think that the run is fast enough to get all the way up top there and then be able to produce the pass down the shorter straightaway as you saw Tashima get that right rear into the wall.
He's got to be careful. Even just changing the geometry of the car just a bit can really affect your speed on oval racing. He falls back to 3rd as Nieva picks up the pieces from that one. But watch the car behind him as we take a look at an incident with Rolly Wallbank, who we know is laps down. And I wonder if this is what put him laps down as he finds himself spinning to the inside of the quad oval.
Yeah, and I couldn't see if there was damage or there's contact that initiated the spin. It certainly looked like it because there was that second piece of contact that really kind of sent him around. Unfortunate, but very easy to do here on the corner exits of these oval racing tracks. Everything kind of seems to have that funnel effect there.
Now, what I was going to say a little bit earlier, Valenteus Nieva's got himself a nice run down to the inside. Is he going to try the slider like you suggested? Not quite. He's going to hold low and try to be polite to Valenteus up on the top side and make it a fight to the line. And coming across, I think this time, Valenteus still managed to lead. Oh, but we got a huge wreck behind. Somebody goes spinning. That was Tashima, actually, and he collects a number of cars in the process.
Yeah, oh man, there's the third impact, the fourth impact, and he is just getting bounced around like a pinball, and unfortunately, he can't do anything. He doesn't have any tires really left on that thing. You can hold the brake pedal all you want, and you're just going to let friction kind of bring you to a halt. I didn't really see what kind of kicked this whole thing off, but Joe, that was a huge incident going into what was turn number 1 at the time.
These cars tend to not have small incidents. The speeds are so high around here. That was Okuliski, who was the third car that ran into him in the end. We're going to get another look. Did he brush the wall again? He already hit it once. Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah, and Charlotte is a quad oval, right? I've said it a couple times. It's not your D-shaped tri-oval. It actually has 2 apexes on the front straightaway, and it's easy to get lost in terms of the lanes that you're in. I think that Shinsuke just got up, call it half a car width wider than what he traditionally was, and all of a sudden that wall jumped out at him, and then, like I said, pinball from there on out.
Man, you can see how hard he got hit by Liskey, too, with that last one.
It doesn't slow down either.
No, just keeps pinballing him around, unfortunately. As this has been going on, we're still side by side between Adrius and Jorge. And Jason Clapper, this is the point I keep trying to get to. We've got known quantities in Jorge and Adrius. We know how they race. I don't think we've ever seen Jason in this situation before. And he's been very quiet, just sitting and watching them, Joey. I feel like he's a dark horse.
You got to wonder how much steam is coming out of his helmet right now, because he usually doesn't qualify, and then he passes everybody, but now he's being forced into a position that he can't pass anybody. He's just having to sit there and be patient. So I'm like, I'm sure he's just sitting in there like, oh, come on, let me do some passes up here. But this is fantastic racing. Nieva and Valenteus have been side by side for almost a handful of laps now. Nieva, with that shorter distance down low, is able to capitalize in the corners, but got a little bit loose there coming off of turn number 2. Looks like Valenteus is finally cleared of him again.
Is Clapper finally trying to do something here and get by him as he's got to run? Nieva's going to hold on to the low line. Also, watch out for Mick Claridgen behind him. Every once in a while, he tends to be a threat on the oval side. He says he's not as comfortable with them, but he's usually at the sharp end of the field. And I do want to note as well, as Clapper's got to run on the high side, and I think he's going to get that done. He is over 5K I rating on ovals.
He was the first one to execute the, it's not a top lane maneuver, but in 1 and 2, you can definitely kind of enter high and then pinch down on the exit and really kind of capitalize that speed. And then here in 3 and 4, you see him just kind of lose all of that momentum all of a sudden. So wasn't able to roll through that corner and get on the gas like he could here in 1 and 2. And now he's going to have to slip back in that 3rd place in line.
Coming up into 3 and 4 once again. It is single file once more. And I just realized now what he's got on his on the nose of his car. He's got 2 dogs. So I think he's pandering us a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always good to see the doggos on his car. I know that he's been rocking that paint for a little while now. And then, yeah, Joe, of course, yeah, we love our doggos. There's 3 golden retrievers sitting right behind me, napping right now. I'm a little bit jealous.
So we're down to 7 cars in this lead group now that we've lost 2 from that incident with Tashima, unfortunately. But it's still just cruising along, clicking off the laps up to 27 now this time by. So getting close to the halfway mark, actually.
I didn't even realize that, but yeah, we're getting up there. We're creeping up to that halfway point, and patience has been key for Clapper. I want to give a huge shout out to this driver right here, the yellow and black number 13. When we talk about patience, Usually Mick Claridge is not even in that conversation. He's not even in the same room usually. So I'm really happy to see Mick up there just kind of hanging out right now inside the top 5.
They're not going to be able to just hang out for very long because lap traffic is quickly approaching. Mailer and Niebert are going to get passed by them, and they're in a battle. It's one thing to lap a single car. It's another to lap cars that have their own race going on.
So Valenteus is going to get down to the inside of one of the cars. That car directly in front is kind of running that middle lane. And it's not going to produce the dirty air that these lead pack cars are going to be heavily affected. It's more just making sure that that lapped car stays in his area on the racetrack, stay predictable about where they are, stay predictable about where you are going to be passing them. That way there's no hiccups involved at all. And Valenteus actually got a little bit wiggly there in 1 and 2. Nieva decided not to take the momentum run down to the inside. I think that just kind of shows the mentality of the drivers. They're still in the cruising mode.
Exactly. And these cars, we remember, are not built for oval racing. They are F1 cars. And while, yes, Lotus did take a car to Indianapolis a number of years, that's not this car. This is a symmetrical machine that has been kind of adapted by these racers. A lot of times the setups that they use in these cars in iRacing are specific to the ovals, where they get a little bit creative with them.
And, you know, since we had mentioned doggos and you just said Lotus, how's Lotus doing over there?
She's doing great. She's glad I'm back home this weekend for once. But, for those that don't know, I actually named my dog after these cars, believe it or not. But right now they're going a little bit faster than she is. Jorge Nieva trying to get faster down the backstretch, catching up to Valenteus and get away from Clapper. They're all getting awful close to that gearbox of the 10.
The front 4 have kind of compressed a little bit, and that's what we see in our camera shot. I know that Bill Tyler, JDS, as well as Kevin Verbruggen, they're the next 3 cars, and quite honestly, they are well within the slipstream range of these front 4, but yeah, they have just kind of been nose to gearbox, nose to exhaust pipes, whatever the furthest rearward thing is that sticks out of these cars. And there's been a couple times going into a few corner entries that they've almost ran over each other, but ooh, that was a close moment. Is that Gary Ho? That's usually the purple helmet, and the number 22 got into the wall coming up there off of that quad oval, and unfortunately Tobias Harnby getting collected into it.
Yeah, you can see it messed up that right front suspension, so he was done pretty much as soon as that happened. Also, shortly before that replay, I caught Mick Claridge brushing the wall on the front straightaway. I think he's pushing the limit a little bit hard here. He's got to be careful he doesn't fall victim like Tashima did.
You can usually get away with a slight brush, but you're right. If there's any sort of wall banging going on, remember, these cars do not have fenders, so it is just purely that tire, those suspension components banging into that outside wall, so you definitely don't want to hit it too hard and bend anything. And so it really is a lead pack here. Top 7. Leo Sequeiro hanging out in what is 8th place. I've noticed that time, Joe. Have you seen it? It's been frustratingly close to that slipstream. It looks like he's finally tagged onto it. He's been about like 0.9, 1.2 seconds back, and he's still there flirting right about 1 second back.
He's just getting a whiff of it. He's so close, as you said. Now, behind him, we can also see Kyle Ridley. I wonder if we could get the camera on him. I can't believe he's as fast as he is. He's running in 9th, but he's missing a major aero component. And now it doesn't give you downforce here, but it definitely makes you quicker.
Yeah, you can see the entire front nose is gone. A little bit difficult to see from this one, but I mean, I can see it on my screen. So you basically have got the radiator grill and then no front body work on it. And Joe, to your point, I'm surprised that he is as fast as he is, but there's no way that he's actually going to be able to catch anybody in front. A 30 with a 70, and then everybody in front is at a 55 in front or faster. So unfortunately, it's going to be a sinking swim for Kyle Ridley.
Doing his best to try and stay in the top 10 in this race. As we check in on Sanchez, haven't looked at him all race long. He's a regular in this series, and he's fighting with Ben Summers for 12th currently, and they're not that far behind Hashimoto back there in the 9 car. So this is a nice 3-car battle.
Yeah, it's kind of amusing how the gaps have kind of ballooned up, and then you've got like these 2 cars or 3 cars that are in these little packs and these little race groups here. So like you said, I think it's Hashimoto, Summers, Sanchez, all in this little 3-pack here. And then the next one back is going to be this battle for what is 17th, and it's led by Jonathan Jordan in that pink car. And we got Santiago Frega, the middle car, and then Don Peak in the Lifesaver machine.
Don doing pretty good, up 2 from where he started this race. I understand that you'd mentioned in the chat a little bit earlier he had a tangle with Seb Tixier. He got away with it. Seb did not, unfortunately. And there's Cam Porter as well, just behind him, running in 19th. But our biggest mover, actually, is Nathan Allen in 25th. Started last on the field in 44th.
It's not Jason Clapper?
No. He's going to have a hard time getting that one this time.
We do have a lead change up front. It just happened this previous lap. Nieva went to the point, and then you see Valenteos already down low here in 3 and 4. He looks to be taking the lead immediately away from Nieva. So even though that there's some cars that have been following Andreas this whole time and they've been patient, it seems like when somebody does make a move, Andreas has a counter.
Well, looks like Valenteus only shortly out of that top spot. Now finds himself with a little bit more threat. Nieva's learned some things, no doubt, while the rest of them watch from behind. Clapper and Claridge have been kind of just watching from those 3rd and 4th positions for quite some time. That was a big slide up off the corner, though, from Nieva. He loses valuable speed.
I'm just chuckling over here because it's amusing watching these open-wheel cars act like NASCAR trucks or Xfinity or Cup cars, because when Nieva had that moment, he was to the top side of the racetrack and the entire draft line just went down to the bottom and was going to roll right on by him. But the only difference is these little Lotus cars really get moving down the straightaways. I had mentioned about 160 miles an hour rolling speed. But let's see down the front straightaway here. I think I saw almost 195. There's 190 through the quad oval. 192 is what I saw out of a few of these cars in the draft pack.
Oof, that is really quick coming along down into turn 1, especially like we said, without any fenders on them. But here comes more traffic. This is another battle. It's going to be Nathan Allen, who I mentioned just briefly ago, and Tim Aladri in a fight with him side by side right now. So this is going to be frantic if they don't get that sorted single file soon.
Yeah, and you see how close they are in that side-by-side fight. So our leader is going to be rolling up right on the rearview mirror here of Tim Aladri, as well as Nathan Allen here momentarily. And now it seems like they're going to go single file, because here is our leader, is only about, call it 1 car length back.
Maybe a momentary truce between the pair of them to try and survive. I thought I heard somebody clip the wall there coming off the floor when we watched from the wall cam.
And Mick Claridge thought about getting to the inside of Nieva there, coming off of 3 and 4. So I think that Nieva is starting to maybe feel a little bit of tire wear, or just kind of struggling to keep the car on the bottom side of the racetrack, because that was a couple times now that we've seen him drift up a little bit, and it's cost him some momentum. Here it's about to get busy.
Very busy. One of them pulls off to the side. That's Nathan Allen, sees him coming, lets the leaders through. But it's still Casey Berry fighting with Tim Aladri, who is going to be able to make those 2 positions. Nicely done, and finally get single file just as our lead car goes by.
Yeah, but it's still nervous moments here. Oh, one of the cars gets into the wall there. You see Mick Claridge really go lane change in order to stay away from him. I was just going to mention those corner exits. They can be a doozy. Remember, these cars aren't always going 3 wide, potentially leaving so much extra room. So if you get caught out on this quad oval or even on some of those corner exits, just be careful of that wall jumping out at you.
And I got to think managing those right side tires is going to be so important throughout this race, just taking constant punishment throughout.
Definitely, although the tires are built a little bit different back then on what we've got on these cars. Oh, that was a little bit of a sketchy moment. I think that was one of the lapped cars trying to stay down low. He was halfway on the apron. That's never what you want to see if you're trying to get by somebody.
Yeah, Nathan Allen did catch him, and he's slid to the infield. I think he did hit the wall a little bit, so I'm not sure what state the car is in. And a lot of his hard work gathering positions has been undone. Back to our leaders, though. Jack David Spickett in this front group, although, oh, I just noticed the four-car breakaway is almost a full second ahead now.
Yeah, over Leo Sequeiro there? Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just there is a little bit of a gap there between the top four and then Bill Tyler, but don't count out Bill. I mean, how many times have we seen him, especially on this oval stuff, really be able to roll up there and kind of steal away some proper good finishes? So don't count him out just yet. Still lots of laps left.
So as we come down to 19 to go, Hashimoto is going to try and get himself a position down to the inside. 9 gets one more and up to 11th spot. Interesting to note, though, of our top 5 of what is considered a very American discipline of racing, we've only got 2 of the top 5 hailing from United States.
It's these silly little open wheel cars, Joe. We didn't really get them a whole lot over here in the States, so we focused on our cubic inches.
Hey, to be fair, oval racing started with open wheelers.
Yeah, no, I know. And I mean, sprint cars, I mean, that's the heart of, short track racing and obviously going up into the IndyCar world. So, yeah, no, don't take my comments to heart. Open wheel racing is very much alive and well in the U.S. and especially vintage stuff.
Here we see Don Peak up to 16th, just behind Jourdain and Frega, giving Watch the now very iconic Lifesaver car that he always runs over here in the 49s. A little bit of a high line there from Jourdain, trying to get the shot off the corner. He does so very well. He is going to blow by Santiago.
Yeah, nice job from Jonathan there, but I want to give credit to this third car in the trio. That is Don Peak back there sitting in 16th spot, and I mean, he qualified in 20th. He's moved up a few, and this is a legitimate race position for that number 28 out there. Just kind of proving why he is the fastest Peak.
It's sitting in the top 10 in Formula 2 as well right now, so this will do him no harm in getting a good haul of points in that F2 championship, but he's just waiting patiently as Santiago slots in behind Jourdain to try to settle that 14th place battle. 15 laps to go. And remember, these laps go by in just half a minute, so we're looking at just a few minutes left on the clock, really.
I know I like to talk about them, but it was very neat to run into your parents just a couple weeks ago down there at NOLA Motorsports Park, Joe. So that's another reason why we got to give Don these awesome shout-outs. It was great to see him and be able to hang out with him again for a little bit.
Absolutely. Just as enthusiastic about racing. Oh, is he going to get an easy spot as that was into the wall for Frega, but we switched back to the battle for the lead. Can report that Don did get up into 15th, sneaking by there. So this is definitely not as sorted as it usually is. Round the outside for Jason Clapper, trying to take second away, or no, excuse me, Nieva trying to get back into second as he lost that a little bit earlier. And the more they fight, the more they're starting to lose a few car lengths at a time on Audrius.
If I'm going to pick 2 cars right now, I'm picking Audrius and also Clapper. I think that Clapper has been so patient. Oh, my goodness. Holy smokes. We didn't see it on camera, but there was a car stalled. Turn 4 exit parked perpendicular. Jason Clapper had to lift off of the gas in 3 and 4 and just narrowly missed that. That could have been a race ender for one of our front runners.
I think it was, as Leo Sequeiro looks like he was trying to take avoiding action, hit him square on, and is now out of this race. So now we're down to, it looks like 7 cars in that front group.
And to the point that I was just going to make, I was going to put that Valenteus and Clapper, I think, are my 2 kind of strongest cars that I've seen. Yeah, we had this pack of 4, pack of 7, call it. But Mick has been glued to the bottom side of the racetrack. We've seen Nieva kind of drift up and lose some momentum up in the middle grooves. Haven't really seen much out of Bill Tyler, JDS, or Kevin Verbruggen, so I don't really know how they are going to race. And I've seen Valenteus have counterattacks anytime that anybody has gotten up front. So let's take a look at this replay of what happened in turn number 4 here. 30 car of Leo Sequeiro. Oh, man, there was the 26 that was already stopped there. And then I think that the 26 was the car that was parked perpendicular. And, man, Jason Clapper almost got into the side of him there. So definitely some close moments for our front pack.
So that allowed Valenteus to pull away a little bit. Boy, look at him get sketchy back there. Some drivers getting a bit more frantic knowing that the laps are ticking away, down to 9 to go. But Nieves cut it back down to a quarter of a second. He's still not quite on the tailpipe of the number 1 machine, but he's working hard at it.
I just keep my eye on that third car in line, the number 2 car, Jason Clapper. I've said his name several times here this evening, or this morning, I should say. Oh, no, commentators curse Jason. I'm so sorry. Banged the wall, and Mick Claridge, I think, got into the wall even harder off of turn number 4. Fingers crossed there's no damage to both of those cars.
Claridge is falling backwards. Clapper somehow still in third. I wonder if it's just because everybody behind tried to scatter to avoid getting involved in an incident, and that allows the top 2 to fight hard, because here comes Nieva. He's clawed him back and is trying to take the lead. Does he have it completely? Yes, he is going to lead this with 7 to go.
Nicely done from Nieva, and he sticks to the inside of the racetrack. I can report I'm riding on board with Jason Clapper. Doesn't look like he's got any damage. He's closing right back up to this main group battle as we see Valenteus now go with the over-under. He's going to try to position himself in that inside lane here in 3 and 4.
Looks like he's going to get that lead back. He's fully ahead, and indeed, Nieva has to just get in behind him as they come down to 6 to go now. I mean, Joey, how do you position this? How do you plan this out? Do you want to be in the lead? Do you want to be second, or maybe where Clapper is in third?
I think that I want to be probably in second place coming to the white flag. And I want to be in second place exiting turn number 2. But I want to be on the high line exiting turn number 2. And we've only seen Clapper and Valenteus be able to execute going high on entry in 1 and then being able to get the momentum down the back straightaway, because then you can simply slide on up into anybody in 3 and 4.
We've made it a bit of a thing that Clapper never seems to come and chat with us post-race, despite some really good results at times coming from the back of the field. Oh, look at that slide from Nieva coming off the corner. He'll lose a little momentum there. If Clapper wins, I swear, I hope he comes and chats with us, because we've been wanting for years now to try and have a talk with him.
Yeah, and something that I just noticed, Jack David Spickett is literally bump drafting Bill Tyler right now. So the all blue car is pushing that white car with the blue stripes, what is 4th place. They've caught back up to this lead group. Nieva with another big wiggle coming off at the exit at turn number 2. That's what you really have to be careful of when you're down on those low lanes. Getting that corner exit and standing on the gas can be difficult.
So, there's another squirrely moment out of the 2 car. It's very bold of JDS to try and get right up there and actually make contact. These cars not made for that. Nieva's going to take the lead away. 3 laps to go now. There has been so much chopping and exchanging of positions between them. It is anybody's pick who will come away with the win.
If you want to be really, really aggressive, I think a 3-wide move down the back straightaway from Clapper could be a potential race winner if our front 2 stay side by side right here. And if they stay side by side, I think that Nieva wins this race, because his nose is getting to the start-finish line consistently before Valenteus.
That's a good point. Might not be down to just completely beating them, but just
here
who gets
comes
there first. You're right. You called it 3 wide for at least a brief moment, but Nieva's got to back out of it. Big wiggle out of the car, coming down to 2 to go. Is that the move that could win Clapper this race, or is Valenteus going to beat him to the line? White flag is out as they cross down to the inside, looking to find any sort of opening. Clapper is denied.
Oh my goodness, it is going to come down to the corner exit here. Nieva's on the high side. Can Clapper stand on the gas? Valenteus is going to go full defensive. It's going to force Jason to the outside. Can he hang tough?
He's got a whole bunch of speed. He absolutely sends it in, but it's too hot. He's all the way to the outside. He loses the momentum. Valenteus back in front of him. He gets the shot off the corner. It's going to be close, but it's not enough. And Valenteus will win at Charlotte.
Oh my goodness, so they end how they qualified on the front row. Valenteus with the victory, Jason Clapper in second place. Nieva does move up one spot to round out that podium, but I mean, oh, that was a tough one. I thought that Jason Clapper could have carried the momentum off of 4, but you called it, Joe, maybe just a little bit too wide driving it into turn number 3 there, but you can't fault him. It's the last lap.
He did everything he could, and it came down to less than a tenth of a second between our top 3 to decide the win. And I tell you what, Jack David Spickett even said suspension damage helps. So maybe his car rotating a little bit better after that contact as Valenteus burns it down in celebration as he was our winner today by 0.04 of a second over Jason Clapper with another podium to his name. I'll have to check to see if that's his first or if he's had multiple before this. As Nieva will come home P3 and Jack David Spickett will be P4. Then it's Bill Tyler with the top 5 and Kevin Verbruggen 6. McClarridge gets a 7th, collecting more valuable points that he was sorely in need of coming into today's race. John Olson was P8, Sanchez 9th, and Ridley in 10th.
Then we've got Yoshiharu Hashimoto back here in 11th place. Jonathan Jordan in back here in 12th. Matthew Keene in 13th. Santiago Frega in 14th. Don Peak in 15th. Cam Porter in 16th. Josephine Becker 17th. Tomas Tuba 18th. Pedro Temaladri back here in 19th. And then our biggest mover of the day, Thomas Willershausen in 20th, up 22 positions.
Whew. Nicely done. Mats Linden was 21st behind him. Last car, 1 lap down. From there, you get to drivers that had serious issues and had to get repairs. Rolly Wallbank, 22nd. Glenn Becker, 23rd. Diego Mahler, 24th. And Casey Berry, 25th. Then it was Lewis Aguero, 12 laps down in 26th. Juan Rodriguez was a DNF in 27th. Harnby got back out there in 28th. And Summers, 29th. Nathan Allen, a DNF in 30th. Pretty much everybody from here on down either didn't see the checkered flag or barely got just a couple laps into this race, all the way down to the 44th position. And checking to see, I actually don't see anybody ready to talk to us quite yet. So hopefully we will get Andreas, Jason, Jorge in here to talk about that one, because I'm always curious when we get these road guys over to the oval side how they feel about it afterwards, Joey.
They do a bunch of different oval racing too, don't they? It doesn't always be here on the 1.5 mile Charlotte quad oval. We've seen them race Michigan. And correct me if I'm wrong, haven't we seen them on Bristol a few times before too?
I believe so, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they're plenty familiar with this oval stuff, and I think generally they all think it's fun, right? And plus with the drop weeks, if you don't like oval racing, if it's not your thing, you can always kind of calculate it in that way. But I enjoyed. I think it's a good change of pace.
It does really brings them into what is something they might not be used to and get them to try something new and different. As we've got 3rd place, Jorge Nieva with us. Jorge, congratulations on the podium. Talk about those final laps, though. How heart-pounding was that, trying to decide where to place the car?
I think they were toying with me. They were much faster than me on the race. I thought maybe if I make an infinite parallel with Audius, maybe Jason can't overtake me, but in the end he managed to do it, and he did really, really well.
Well, you guys spent a lot of time, though, just kind of riding around. When was your sort of go moment in this race? What time did you feel like it was worth trying to attack finally?
I wasn't trying to attack. I was trying to defend Jason, actually. maybe 10 laps to go. I thought, well, now is the time. Maybe he tries the pass, so I'll start blocking with the help of Adrius, but it was really hard. They were very fast.
Well, you come into this one with 2,700 oval rating, so clearly you've done a bit over the years. But have you raced any other oval series besides the when the Lotus 49 visits here?
I think I did in my beginnings in Oval. I tried some rookie races to try to make my iRating Oval higher, because one time at Indianapolis I wasn't on the first split because of my low iRating, but actually my main iRating is from this series, once a season.
Well, I guess it comes in handy there. Regardless, amazing race, and congratulations on a top 3.
Thank you guys.
That was Jorge Nieva, who finished 3rd, and behind him, Mick Claridge got himself a top 10, and I believe Joey's caught up with our 7th place finisher.
Yeah, Mick, probably not the finish that you wanted, but hey, dude, you survived.
Yeah, oh yeah, came in cold, totally cold. A couple of hours practice this morning, and that was it, straight in. John Olsen's set, change your gear in, run out of revs on the straights, hitting the rev limiter. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's good fun.
And then I got to ask you, because we saw you contact the wall a few times. Did that last wall hit provide a little damage on the car?
Yeah, I think I only hit it once, probably got dodgy internet. Yeah, only smacked it really hard once at the end there. Yeah, and it pushed the upright right in. So, yeah, I was just happy to be up with the guys up front, after so little practice. Had to sort of learn it as I went on, because you probably might remember, I'd sort of got a habit of overdriving the corners on ovals. I just always do it. And so, yeah, I had to really back him up and try and sort of watch Jorge's lines, because he was really quick in practice. So, yeah, just did that and was able to keep up. I wasn't going to go for any moves today. Just wanted to keep up with the guys.
Well, looking a little bit forward, we go to Watkins Glen next. You looking forward to that one?
Oh, yeah. Is it? I think it's a classic layout, I think, isn't it?
It should be. That's typically what you guys do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, well up for that. Yeah, can't wait. Back to 900
awesome
laps practice.
Well, Mick, thanks so much for coming out and racing and putting on a show for us today.
Cheers, guys. By the way, could I just make a shout out to?
Sorry, dude. No.
I listen, Joey. I finished the race last week. I finished the race.
Yeah, go for it. Of course, Mick. We're always going to give you time.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, no, I officially interrupted you, so go ahead, give him the proper shout out.
I'm going to give a shout out this week is to last week's race, which I finished.
I love it. So we'll give a shout out to last week's race, which Mick Claridge officially finished, and he finished here today at Charlotte, all 66 laps. He is on a charge. Look out for him next week, Joe.
All right, we'll keep an eye out for Mick, as it seems like he's turned things around. But we also want to chat with Cam Porter, who was the last car on the lead lap, actually, but 16th, and definitely looked like it was a race of survival for you, Cam. I went back and checked, because we didn't get to cover you a whole lot. Looked like it was kind of just trying to avoid some of the wrecks at the start.
Yeah, there were a couple of at least one big wreck in front of me I was able to avoid. I had to take an off track to go into the infield on the front straight. But yeah, I was happy to take that 1X and survive that. I lost a bit of ground to the cars ahead, of course, because I had to put the brakes on and take evasive maneuvers. But had a pretty fun race with Glenn Becker for a little while until he kind of got sideways exiting turn 4. And then I caught up to 1, and we had a little bit to go, and we were trying to catch the group. There was a group of about 4 guys ahead of us that I just could not get caught back up to. I was just outside the draft zone. That gap stayed at about 2.5 to 3 seconds for the entire second half of the race. So that was a little bit frustrating, but I'm not an oval specialist by any means, even though I do have some experience in oval. But happy to finish this race today and have a pretty good result as well.
Yeah, that was a bit of a talking point throughout, as the drivers coming in to try this style of racing. But how did you approach setting up the car? Because we heard Mick mention he just loaded up John Olson's set. Did you do the same, or did you do the iRacing set or custom?
Oh yeah, well I want to thank the community for sharing their sets every week. This week I used Bill Tyler's set. He's kind of known as an oval guy, but he's also really very fast on road as well. So thanks to Bill Tyler for sharing his setup. And like I said, just load the set and go. That's my mode of operation. Usually, just show up, 30 minutes before the race, get my practice in, and race and hope for the best.
Well, the best wound up being up in 16th, and nicely done keeping on the lead lap and bringing it home clean. Anybody you want to shout out before we go?
Just GSRC for putting on a great broadcast every week. Thanks a lot, guys. Keep up the great work.
Well, thank you very much. That was Cam Porter, as we mentioned, 16th today at the finish line, which is going to wrap us up. So we, of course, also want to thank the community for bringing us back for another season of coverage, and also to the team today, Joey, Daniel, Dougie, and Christian. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and merchandise store, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. The next race, as was mentioned, Watkins Glen, will be Saturday, May 3rd at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. However, we've got a big one coming up today, because up next, the IMSA Vintage Series has their Road America 500. This is something they do annually, and it'll be kicking off just a little bit later today. That is a huge race for them. So be sure to check out our other broadcasts as well that we've got listed here. And until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.